Does it feel like every part of your life is divided? Every scenario, every environment, your church, your school, your work, your friends, left, right, conservative, liberal, religious, secular. It seems you always have to take a side. This is a conversation between a progressive Christian and a conservative atheist who happen to be great friends. Welcome to Living on Common Ground.
Do you think if we met today, we would still be friends?
I don't know, but we're friends now.
A mob is known as a mob because they're with you.
Man, so what? We won a few games. And y'all fools think that's something? Man, that ain't nothing, y'all. And you know what else? We ain't nothing either. Yeah, we came together in camp. Cool. But then we're right back here and the world tells us that they don't want us to be together. We fall apart like we ain't a damn bit of nothing, man.
Okay, now that we're done talking about music. So real quick, if you're recommendations, I would highly recommend Foxy Shazam. And Lucas just gave me a recommendation called Fun.
Yeah,
F-U-N period.
Yeah, they're really good. I like them. I listened to their. I gotta find the name of their album.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to their album some nights.
Yeah.
All the way through.
So the name of the album is Some Nights?
Yeah.
Okay. For a minute there, I thought you said I listened to them some nights.
Oh yeah, no. The name of the album is Some Nights, and
Okay.
that's the name of the one of the main songs in there. Also,
Mhm.
"We Are Young" is the single the single that most people would recognize from there. Anyway, the point is, I listened to that over and over and over again while I was reading the book Atlas Shrugged. So to me, that album is the soundtrack
Mhm.
to Atlas Shrugged.
Mm.
If I read a passage of Atlas Shrugged, I am hearing their music, and I think that's so hilarious because I'm sure they would hate that.
Yeah. Well, so, okay, I'm not familiar with the book Atlas Shrugged.
No, it's Ayn Rand. It's her titular work.
Okay.
It's where the phrase "Who is John Galt" comes from.
Okay.
It is her. Essentially, it's a novel allegory
Mhm.
about her philosophy called. What is her philosophy called? Rationalism? No, it's called. That is gonna bug me. I gotta look it up. Anyway, you know who Ayn Rand is, or
Mhm.
you've heard her name at
Yeah.
least. Ayn Rand philosophy.
I'm going to look it up.
Objectivism. Objectivism is her
Okay.
philosophy. It's an anyway. So I'm a big fan of the book, and I'm a big fan of Ayn Rand. And anyway, I listened to that album, and so that is the soundtrack. And in my mind, and it just makes me laugh. But the soundtrack is, or the album's really good. But that one that you just showed me was good. I'm not big on like new music.
Well, so the way I get exposed to music now is through shows.
Sure, that makes sense.
Right. So I'll watch a show and I'll be like, oh, and then I'll do the little Shazam or whatever,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh, they're actually really good. And then I might download them.
Yeah.
So that's how I end up. And then
Yeah, that
the
makes sense.
bonus was that they're out of Cincinnati.
I just know.
Which,
Oh, sure.
I'm
Which
not
we're
from
all
Cincinnati.
very excited about.
Well, Madison lives there, and so I thought that was really cool, and
It
I
is
wanted to
very
know
cool.
if there ever is going to be a show, she needs to go.
It is very cool. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Right.
So
I think it's very, very
Objectivism, Atlas Shrugged,
cool. Mhm.
and I guess so. Is there a philosophy called compatibilism?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably.
If there's not, my philosophy is compatibilism.
TM.
TM.
Mm-hmm. Trademark. You got to say TM.
Oh, TM.
Now you can sue anybody who uses
Okay.
it.
All right. But I don't know if it's a thing. Like, I mean, I know that people would know if I said compatibilism, what I was talking about. Because people get accused, like they're called compatibilists, but I'm developing the
what?
philosophy of compatibilism.
What does that mean if somebody's compatibilist?
Most of the times, compatibilist is used in terms of whether or not there is such thing as free will.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you're either a pure, straight-up determinist, or you believe in free will, but there's this middle ground called compatibilism.
Yeah,
compatibilist.
That's probably what David Dennett.
Right, that's me. In. I think I'm there. But anyway, okay. So, you brought up something that I thought was really interesting, and I'm not even sure how to answer it.
I just thought it would be a fun thing to do.
It would be a great thing to do. So the shtick is that
the conceit of the show is that you are the progressive.
I am the progressive Christian, and it wasn't like I am struggling with whether or not I'm a Christian. That kind of sounded like I was like, no, I am. It's the progressive part,
and I'm the conservative atheist.
Yes. All right.
That's the conceit of the show.
Yes. All right. So the question that you raised is,
what is your most right-wing position as the progressive, and what is my most left-wing position?
Have you thought of it? Have you thought about this?
I have two because Krista and I have talked about this in the past, and there's two that I think of pretty quickly. There's one I think that I could nail down as a resolution, as a debate resolution that I would argue for this.
Okay. Let me hear it.
Okay. I think that it makes sense for societies to tax their population in order to fund free public education. I think public education should be a free service available to all citizens in a country.
Yeah, especially when the purpose for education is indoctrination.
It is always going to be indoctrination, sure, but that is not actually why I think that. I think
I know I was just kind of throwing that you're still a conservative with it.
This is it is a left-wing position, and it is an anti-libertarian position, and I am okay with that. That is a position that I have. Okay. I think, and it is not from an altruistic position either. It's not because
why do you believe that then?
So let's see how far back I want to go. I believe that because I think that it goes back to a rising tide raises all ships as a principle.
Sure.
I want to bring the floor of an education level of a society upward in order to do a few different things. Reduce chaos in the society, and provide more opportunities. Because I am a equality of opportunity believer, not an equality of outcome believer. And so while I don't believe that it is possible to create a scenario in which all people do actually have equal starting places, that's not, in my opinion, possible. I do think that it is beneficial for a society to raise the floor in order to try to create as much opportunity for advancement for everyone in the society. Again, this is not from an altruistic position. This is not because I'm trying to help the downtrodden, right? I want to make sure it's very clear I don't care about the downtrodden. Just kidding. It is because I think that a higher level of education to a point, and again, I want to make sure this is clear. I'm talking about a safety net type situation. I'm talking about a baseline level of education.
So you're not talking about like being able to go to university for free. You're talking about
And I don't
being able to contribute to society.
And I don't ever expect the public education system to be the ideal of education ever. And I don't think that I don't actually think that that is a reasonable goal. It doesn't make sense from a societal level, in my opinion. However, it does make sense to provide the minimum level of education for at no cost. Obviously, it's not free.
Right.
It's not free. It is costing someone, but at no cost at the level of service, or at the position, or
to the
point of service.
Go to school,
right?
Yeah.
So I think that finding some way, and I do think, that because traditionally property taxes have been what have been utilized for education funding, for public education funding. I think in a sense that makes sense. But and for a few different reasons, I understand the inherent unfairness of a property tax, because you're going to end up taxing an enormous number of people who are not utilizing the service. But again, I do think that this is a place where I don't have I think that even though we are giving up a level of freedom and fairness in that, I'm willing to compromise on it. I can see how there would be a little bit more fairness in utilizing a sales tax to fund it. The problem is that for a sustainable service, for a permanent service that you expect to have in a society, you would want that funding to be as stable as possible, and sales taxes are going to be subject to economic ups and downs. And the way that we have property taxes structured, it is a lot more stable. Obviously, property values can drop, but usually property value fluctuations in the market don't affect property taxes too much, because the assessments don't follow the market value. So, I think that in a way that makes sense. I mean, seriously, this is treason to my libertarian friends.
It's so funny,
but it is
because it still sounds very conservative to me.
It's something that I think makes sense.
No, I think
I also kind of think that about healthcare. As long as we accept as a society that we're talking about the minimum level of healthcare, and we're not talking about access to all healthcare that could possibly that does exist and could possibly exist.
Right. So in other words, we'll keep you from dying, maybe
not.
But we're not going to provide you with a cosmetic surgery.
No. I mean,
even
cancer research. I'm talking about all the stuff that this is all of the things that cause healthcare to be so expensive. And I don't want to get too far down that road, because I think that government is what causes healthcare to be expensive. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if we could get the society to all agree on a couple of things that we're going to provide through tax revenue. Again, this is theft. We are agreeing to theft.
I know, because you've already gone on record as saying you should fight against taxes everywhere, in all places. Yep,
in all places at all times.
Yep.
So we're agreeing to a level of theft. I would want to agree to a couple of minimum level healthcare provisions, and then that's it. That's what we're providing. Everything else is your.
Do you know what those would be?
I don't really know. It might be. I mean, I know that I haven't thought that far down the road, but I think that some sort of, what the Obamacare law, how it was sold. It's not what ended up happening, but how it was sold was, this is what we're doing. We're going to provide this minimum level of care. And what most people think of is they think of a preventative visit once a year. That's what they think of. A preventative visit once a year, you're not going to get charged for it. I think that's fine. And I would be willing to compromise on some sort of and in addition, 1 to 2 urgent care visits,
I can't even think of the last time I had an urgent care visit.
That's funny because that's what we use as
Yeah.
in our family. We have ended up. I mean, we have a primary care physician, but
Hard to get into.
yeah, and it just doesn't make much sense when there's an urgent care right down the street. So if like we use that for all of our sick care,
Okay.
and then that works out pretty well.
Okay.
But anyway, so
Sure.
those there you go.
And those are your two?
Now
There's that one that you kind of put together.
that was a 1 and a 1B.
Okay, so let's hear number 2. You said there was 2, possibly.
Yeah, the second one is a little. This is not. It's a little more amorphous, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and that is, I think it's inevitable that when a population gets to a particular size, and I don't know what that size is, but when a population gets to a particular size, you have to have central planning in infrastructure, and which means necessarily a restriction on personal property rights, what you're allowed to do with your own property.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that that's inevitable. That's why I say it's
Right.
more left wing because I mean, if you where we come from, the California, we were born under a regime that had already calcified years ago into complete bureaucratic nightmares. Right? That's what California is. They long ago went in the urban areas, and then the urban areas control all the rural areas in California, regulatory wise. But they long ago transitioned, grown to a population where they went through a transition of like, now we've got to have some planning from the outset, where these roads go, where the sewers go, where the zoning for commercial and all of that goes. You know, we can't just say because you have a farm and you want to sell it, you get to sell it to whoever you want. You know, we're going to have more central planning. We're going to have we're going to impose some regulations on how you build that road, and then layer upon layer upon layer. By the time we come along, you know, all of those decisions were made by two generations in the past to transition. Now we're 2 generations into, it's all just bureaucrats following policy. So then you're in a situation where you can look around and you can go, nobody makes it. You can't just make a common sense decision anymore, you know, because there's a rule that it violates right here. You can see it in this code.
Yep.
And everything's run by code and policy, right? And so then you go, well, I gotta get out of here. And you know, I think that if you are in I think that if you're in a rural enough area, you do not have to have policy and bureaucracy, and that really is just tyranny. But I think that it's probably inevitable once a population gets to a certain level that you've got to, in order to be able to preserve the way of life for the people who have been living there forever.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure it's still this way. I know it was when we first moved here in '97. But if you're in the county, your property is not regulated in the same way that it is within the city.
That's true.
Right. So like in the city, you can't necessarily, and it also depends on what city you're in. So if I wanted to, and I live out in White County, I can park as many broken down vehicles as I can fit in my property. But you can't do that in Sparta.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, now here in Mount Juliet, it's even more strict.
Yeah, because the population's growing, and you're.
Yeah.
And I that's just, again, I just think that it's inevitable. I think it's just an inevitable transition.
So it's interesting to talk about in terms of, you know, traditionalist or conservative and progressive, and where do we see ourselves maybe leaning towards or on the other side of things. And because as you're talking, one of the things I thought about is, I guess, and this actually goes something back we talked about 2 years ago, how to say like what it is to be a liberal or what it is to be a conservative. If you go back in history, what is now a conservative position would have been considered by some a liberal position, right? And so that liberal and that conservative thing sort of seems to stay. And so for me, I think
today's revolutionary is tomorrow's reactionary.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think about it in terms of who is trying to be the reformer and who is the institution.
Mm.
So when I hear things like, the taxes and I see that. Well, and I even like today in our arguments, when I see a lot of times everybody seems to want to be the reformer, but we still label certain groups conservative and certain groups progressive or liberal or whatever. So, because even your positions went down the wrong pipe.
Well, this is where I get a little pedantic, and my family rolls their eyes every time this comes up, because this is where I start separating out the spectrums of conservative to progressive and the spectrum of right-leaning and left-leaning. And, my family would roll their eyes if they heard me talking about this because I talk about it so much. But like, for instance, I see it is not a lot of times my conservative friends or my, however they want to describe themselves, whatever, they will, when they're talking about the Nazis, they'll like to
always
point out.
Always got to go to the Nazis.
Always. They'll like to point out that, it's National Socialists, socialist right in the name, right? And they'll point out that it was, confiscation of property, and what they'll say is like it's the same thing as communism. It was the same thing as communism. That's not right. It wasn't right. However, what they're getting at a principle that was right, in my opinion. I see Stalin and Hitler, the Nazis and the communists, as both being
bad.
Both being progressive. But one's a right-wing progressive, and one's a left-wing progressive.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, right? Is this idea of anybody that wants to change what is currently the status quo is a progressive.
Because they both wanted to reform the world as they saw it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Where and so you kind of lean, especially with the one about education, right? You're leaning more towards a progressive position, but you still have very strict guidelines to it.
Yeah, to me, it feels like I'm giving in on something. And I'll just give in on this, but I'm standing right here.
But we are not gonna. But we're not gonna give you a good education.
Right.
We're gonna give you just enough.
That's right.
We're not gonna give you great health care, just enough. That's right. Where a true progressive would say, no, they have the right to the best healthcare they can get. They have
education is a right
to the
healthcare
best
is a right.
Education that they can possibly get.
And I will always stand on something cannot be a right if it requires the labor of another.
Okay.
Rights can only exist if they are outside of the labor of another. Therefore, education cannot be a right. Healthcare cannot be a right. Housing cannot be a right. These things cannot be a right because they require the labor of another person. However, given that, I'm okay with, as long as we're all, this is the thing, I want everyone to get into a room. Okay, we're all going to agree, though. We're not calling it a right. Okay? It's just so dumb, but that's kind of how I'm sitting,
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, but I'll give in on this. Anyway, that's mine.
Yeah. So I haven't really thought too much about it because I know that I'm just kind of all over the place anyway.
Sure.
But so when push come to shove politically, I would tell people, and I would just say this, and I really have to think more about it, but I tend to be socially progressive, fiscally conservative. What do I mean when I say that? I do. I don't believe that. How do I want to word this? I'm not a socialist, right? I do think that there is something to be said for working hard, and the harder you work, the the more income you can get,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I guess that sort of leans me towards a more conservative position,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think that
Like a quality of outcome or quality of opportunity instead of a quality of outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that everybody should have equal opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And so that does bother me.
Sure.
But I think if we get to the point where everyone has equal opportunity, then you have to work for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of everyone gets whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I also do believe that it's not the government's responsibility to take care of its citizens.
Mm. Yeah, we've talked about that before when we were talking about like homelessness and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I don't think so. I think the government's responsibility is to order society in such a way that people have the opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
that there's nothing blocking the opportunity, and to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the police force should be a protection group,
Mm-hmm.
right? And two, the federal government, the military should be to protect from foreign,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I don't think the government should be in the handout business. I don't think it's the responsibility of the government to make sure that, but I do think that we have a responsibility to take care of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so as a human being, if I see someone who doesn't have a coat, I should give them a coat.
You have the responsibility.
I have the responsibility. The government does not. That is not the role of the government. And so that's probably more of a conservative position, I would think. And I do think that we created our own problem with the government now being responsible for taking care of its citizens when we began to push really hard, push the church and everything really hard out.
Mm-hmm.
And when that starts to happen, then the government assumes the responsibility and the role that often sat with religion,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be Christian, whether it be Jew, whether it be Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
just whatever, that's built into all of them,
Mm-hmm.
that you should take care of each other.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I guess that would be my more conservative thing, is that's not the government's responsibility. How's that? Does that make me a conservative?
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And I have really good progressive friends that think I'm not progressive enough.
Sure.
And I have very good conservative friends that would never expect me to be conservative.
Yeah.
In fact, they're a little bit surprised when they do find things out.
Yeah. It's always, you were showing me that like spectrum thing.
Yeah. The thing
earlier.
I'm working on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
My compatibilism.
the compatibilism thing. And one of the things that I was thinking about when I was looking at that is that, you had all of these like labels on there,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of the ideas like, where do you find yourself on this spectrum? And you had other stuff in there that I think is really interesting. I'll be interested when you flesh it all out and create a presentation and finish it and all of that.
You saw it's about halfway through.
Yeah. But one of the things that I thought of when I looked at those labels is that the other thing that happens is that you can find yourself saying things or hearing things that seem true to you that like jump way over onto another one.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're not like, it's not like I lean to the right and therefore all of my positions kind of fall into this leaning to the right position,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm just slightly right on everything, or I lean to the left, so I'm just slightly left on everything. It's more, most of the time when you get into conversations like this, like I'm sure somebody could hear what I just said and be like, well, you're not
a libertarian.
You're not a libertarian. Yeah, exactly.
Right. What are you talking about? There should be taxes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Taxes equals theft.
Yeah.
I taught my kids, that's one of the first slogans that my kids ever like repeated over and over again, is taxes are theft.
That's interesting.
And
which one of your kids is more libertarian?
That's a really good question. I don't know that I could say that because because they're still developing.
Mhm.
If I had to just
At this point in time,
if I
we're,
just
hopefully we're all still developing.
if I just had to, yeah, I know, but like kids can, they change so much. And
Sure.
I voted for W. Okay, so
Me too.
You did?
Yeah, but
You
I
voted
also
for W.
but I've also voted for Clinton.
No,
I voted for Obama.
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I would say Reed just because he's more he's more developed in his
Sure,
political
he's older.
ideology, so he
Yeah.
talks about it more. Like for instance, right now, he's the things that he says
Mhm.
when he's talking politics
Yeah.
are very like anti-Trump
Mhm.
and anti-Republican
Mhm.
because that's who holds the position right now. But when it swings, I will not be surprised at all if he like spends 4 years sounding like he's a Republican. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like he's kind of anti-authoritarian.
What's that guy's name?
Which I really like.
There's a
I like that a lot.
there's a comedian, and he talks like he's got kind of a gruff voice, and he's an older guy now, but he's
still alive.
Yeah, I think his last name might be Black.
Yes, his last name is Black, and I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
and I cannot think
it's
of his
not
first name.
Jack.
No,
Older.
It's like Robert Black. It's like
But
Rob Black.
You know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
right? So I saw this thing yesterday, a video, and he said, "I've never before have found so many people offended by my position on the president and what I say about the president." He goes, "If you've paid attention to me at all, I've hated all of them."
Yeah.
Yeah. What
is it? Lewis Black?
Lewis Black. Yes, I love him.
Yeah,
he's so funny. But anyway, kind of what you're talking about. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a libertarian.
Yeah. I'll say I've had this really interesting experience this term, because I'll just be kind of vulnerable here. I rolled into this term being like, let's go, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Trump went to the Libertarian Party convention.
Mm-hmm. I remember when that was going to get ready. Yeah, that was going to be happening.
We talked about that.
Yep.
And I kind of I chuckle out of the side of my mouth when he did that, but rolling in to the administration, he did the populist thing of I'm going to gather a coalition, I'm going to make promises. And he's like, I'm bringing in RFK Jr.
Which he did.
I'm bringing, his the whole cabinet that he brought in. Besides, I don't really care about the defense secretary, but the rest of the cabinet, even Cash, who I've been really disappointed in, running the FBI. We were all really excited about having him come in and be like, we are releasing Epstein files. We are releasing JFK files. We are all of it, right? Bringing Tulsi in. I was like, let's go,
mm-hmm.
right? And also, even the whole immigration thing, I know people are upset about that, but there's a part of me that's it's tough to take. It's tough to take the people who are upset about ICE right now, because I've been listening to how we shouldn't be caring about illegal immigration for the last 20 years, and we've seen the results. And so, I'm a libertarian, but still, we got to have a border. We got to do something. And there's always going to be criticism, no matter what, when you start trying to fix the problem. So I've been okay, fine, do what you got to do, right? But and so anyway, I've kind of had this everyone's gonna be anti-Trump because he's a lightning rod, and I'm just not. I'm let him cook
mm-hmm.
right now. And then the last month or so, he's turned on. First of all, the main one that he turned on was Massey, that all of us libertarians, well, as far as I'm concerned, from a libertarian position, I was like, all right, you lost me. Fine. I'm You're going to come after Massey, who is the most principled, right-leaning, libertarian Republican in Congress. He's like actually principled. All right, forget you. Now I'm like turning on him, you know, like now I'm like, all right, go after him. I don't care. Bring him down, you know. But it's just interesting. I'm sure like people who hear me say that, I'm sure there's some people who would be like, yeah, we told you, and fine, you know, that's fine. But it's just been an interesting experience over the last 9 months or so. But yeah, Reed's been very anti-Trump. Again, because he's the one in power right now. He was very anti-Biden. He's very anti-Newsom. He's just anti whoever's in power, which again, I can definitely respect that.
So really what I'm hearing is that we're both liberals. We just have different opinions on what it needs to look like.
How so? What do you mean we're both liberals? How?
Well, in the same way that fascists and communists were both liberals.
Both progressive, like trying to change things.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. Progressives.
No, I didn't mean to progress. I didn't mean to correct.
So yeah,
you.
we're both progressives.
I don't want to change things. Though.
Yeah, you do.
What do I want to change? I want everything to stop.
You want to blow it up.
What do I want to blow up?
No more. You got to reduce taxes. You've got to I think that you would want to see the government change.
Okay, so that's a fair assessment of what I've said so far. Here is how here is my the tableau that I paint on.
You want to make America great again?
I want to make America great again. That's right. No.
I'm going to buy you a MAGA hat for Christmas.
I'm not kidding. I want everything to stop circa 2014. Okay. Post gay marriage is legal. Post kind of we don't really care about legal weed anymore. Yeah, it's still federally.
You're sounding kind of progressive.
No, but just stop there. I'll give you everything.
Yeah.
I'll give we give everything. Okay, we've got gay marriage. Roe v. Wade isn't overturned. That's fine. Okay, and we've got kind of quasi legal weed, and all the taxes are what they are, and Obamacare has been passed. I'll even give you Obamacare. That's fine, and you can keep Obama actually as the president. That's fine. Just stop. Everything stopped, but it just kept going. I just want everything to stop.
Okay,
that's why I call myself a conservative. I'm like a mid 2000s conservative. I just want everything to stop.
Yeah, I mean, and so technically, you're conservative in that you want to conserve
where we are. Yeah,
but the further we get from there, you're going to become a progressive. And then it's just going to be a matter of, though, determining what would be better, communism or socialism.
You know, are those our two options, communism or socialism?
No. Actually, according to The End of the World is Just the Beginning, great book if you want to get really depressed. It's actually a very interesting book. It's about the end of globalization.
Yeah.
It's deglobalization is the term. He suggests in his book, and I'm sorry I have to say he because I can't remember who the author is right now, but
it's the guy with the little ponytail.
I don't know. Does he have a ponytail?
Mm-hmm. He does. Unfortunate, but he does. Yeah, I've seen him on Rogan before.
No. Anyway, he talks about that we don't have a current ism that's the right ism.
That's probably true, actually.
You know, and he said it's not capitalism, it's not socialism, it's not communism. It's we don't have the right ism yet.
Historians 500 years from now, if we don't destroy ourselves, we will. We'll probably look back and create and decide what we had. Do you know what I mean? Like we won't know it right now,
right?
You know?
Are you saying like Locke didn't? Well, did Locke call it capitalism?
I don't think so. And I don't think I could be wrong about this, but I am almost positive Adam Smith didn't even call it capitalism. Okay. I don't think I think he talked about the role of capital and the unseen hand and all of that. But I don't know that they called it that.
Capitalism came later.
Well, it was a reaction to mercantilism, which I don't know that anybody
I forgot about that
during that time period would have called it mercantilism. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Actually, I do know of an ism we could go back to.
What's that?
feudalism.
That sounds pretty good. As
Yeah.
long as you're we got to get a bunch of land first.
I just want to be one of the lords.
Yeah, you got to get land first.
Yeah,
but you know how you get it.
Actually, I don't want to be a lord. I'd rather just be one of the tenants.
You want to be a tenant? What do you mean you want to be a tenant? They're basically slaves.
I don't want to have the responsibility of being a lord.
You don't have any responsibility. You put the responsibility in the hands of your land manager.
We're going to argue about feudalism and whether it'd be better to be a lord or a serf.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and I'm thinking about my kids who are going to have to look it up.
They would know what a lord or a serf is, right?
They'll know lord. Serf may be a bit much.
Yeah.
And they know feudalism. And actually, it is tongue in cheek. Both of my kids have taken AP.
Oh, wow. AP history?
AP's, in human geography and they know.
Oh.
Yeah, Robbie right now is in AP government.
Dang, Gina.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive.
Yeah, he and I had to work on a project the other night about the development of states' minor labor laws, child labor laws, and how it connects to the federal government and the role that the state plays in implementing and determining child labor laws within their own border.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
good for you, Robbie.
Yeah. So they probably do know serf and lord. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
All right. So I think what we've agreed on is that you're actually a progressive.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe not yet, but you will be.
All right. You know what we actually are? Old men. That's what we are. We're old.
Oh boy. All right. So that's our common ground.
Yep.
But if you're an old man, I got like one foot in the grave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because
congratulations.
Yeah. And when people say, Jeff, you're middle-aged, I'm like, I'm not living to 108.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not middle-aged anymore. You are.
I see middle-aged as like a range. So like you're middle-aged, but you're like one of our elder middle-aged men.
Yeah. Because how old are you again? You're 40.
I don't know. 40. I'm 44.
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm 54.
Yeah. We're like 10 years apart. Exactly.
You could live to be 88. So you're like middle-aged still.
Yeah. But I don't think
But who do you know that's going to live to be 108?
I don't think that you're middle-aged right at a moment.
Sure. I know. I hear you. Is it like a 20-year range?
I don't know.
Is it from like 35 to 55?
I mean, look.
I'm going to go 35 to 55.
I'm in the insurance business. 81 is the blended life expectancy between genders, but that's because it's 79 for dudes.
Yeah. So I'm closing in. Yeah. That's why I'm hoping. That's why I'm hoping to retire at 59 and a half.
Yeah, go for it.
Because at 59 and a half, I'm eligible for Medicare. Right?
Not Medicare. No. 65 is Medicare.
Then what is it at 59?
59 and a half, you can start taking money out of retirement accounts without penalty.
That's what it is.
This is not a financial show, by the way. This is not a financial show. That is just me as a friend.
No. So my friend Lucas reminded me of what my financial advisor, David, told me.
Yeah. But you can start.
Because I knew 59 and a half was in my head.
Yep.
Yeah. Because we met with David just about a month ago. And I thought, that's pretty good. Because he said the one
job, David.
The one concern that everyone has is insurance.
Yeah, that's the thing. Those last 5 years between 60 and 65, those are killers.
I think in the next couple episodes, we need to talk about insurance reform, medical care reform in our country.
Okay. All right.
I think we can solve it.
All right.
And then people just need to send this episode to Washington.
Yeah.
And it'll be all taken care of.
There we go.
Did we decide we agreed on something? Oh, yeah. You're a progressive.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Living on Common Ground. Please follow wherever you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. You can also find a link to our social in the description. The more people we have living on common ground, the better the world will be.